As we near the end of the first half of Super Ninja Steel, I gotta admit I'm still intrigued with this whole Galactic Ninja plot. Sure, the last episode wasn't perfect, but I ultimately felt that keeping Wolverine around was a good idea because it allows the show to bring the Galactic Ninja together once the Rangers dispatch of each member individually. I mean, it was already impressive that Wolverine was able to do a lot of damage by himself, so imagine what will happen when his team comes together to show their true strength. But before we get to that point, we need to get through this episode, which will no doubt demonstrate Speedwing's power, since, well, speed's in the title. So let's stop speculating and see how the story progresses as we look at episode 7, The Need for Speed. The episode opens with Sarah getting ready to break the hoverboard speeding record at the school track, which I guess means that hoverboards are more common in this universe than I originally thought. As Sarah races down the track, however, a mysterious rider ends up beating her, breaking the record in the process, and after the crowd questions who the rider could be, Victor shows up saying it was him. The host of the event hands Victor the trophy, with the crowd congratulating him, all except for the Rangers who are busy consoling Sarah. On the ship, Cosmo Royale brings Speedwing center stage as he powers up with his medallion, saying the Rangers won't see him coming before he gets to work. At the school, Sarah's too busy working on a new suit for her hoverboard, while the other Rangers try to play pool with her, at which point Victor shows up to gloat over his newest trophy. Sarah tells Victor the trophy won't be his for long when we cut to the Pink Ranger testing how fast she can go in her new suit, which looks like this, meaning the show is doing whatever they can to get good ratings. During the test, Sarah ends up flying through the sky when she bumps into Speedwing, and after the team checks on the fallen Ranger, the monster introduces himself as the fastest Galactic Ninja. Calvin questions how many Galactic Ninja there are before the team morphs into action, but Speedwing uses his own evil speed star to strike the team down. The Rangers eventually come up with a plan to trip Speedwing, causing him to drop the speed star, but before the team can finish them off, the monster teleports away. As the team heads to shop class, Sarah finds the speed star on the ground before following her friends, and once in the garage, the Pink Ranger uses the star to power her board, hoping it'll help her break the record. Mick finds out what Sarah's doing, telling her it might be a bad idea to use monster technology, and when she brushes him off, the mechanic says this:
"Be careful. Okay, sometimes you can focus on one thing so much that you overlook other problems."
You mean like giving an anniversary season way too much credit because it's been teasing a crossover that you've been wanting to see for years, only for said crossover to be the most insultingly rushed piece of crap you've ever had the displeasure of watching? One that's made worse by the fact that your favorite character came back for absolutely no reason, ruining his really moving and emotional death scene, and tarnishing the two best episodes of that season! Brock is Back was a great two-parter, Saban, and this could have been great too, but you couldn't let me enjoy it, could you? You had to make it suck! Sorry about that. Old wounds. What was I talking about again? Alright, Super Steel. Back on the ship, Speedwing informs Wolverine that he lost his speed star when Madame Odious and Cosmo come in, showing the Galactic Ninja buzzcam footage of Sarah taking the star. Speedwing is ordered by Odious to go retrieve the star, just as Sarah gets ready to break Victor's speed record, and in a shocking turn of events, she races through the track no problem, winning the Jock's trophy. Seriously, the board doesn't explode, Sarah doesn't fly off the track again. The worst thing that happens is that Mick gives her some dirty looks, and I'm guessing he didn't tell the other Rangers what he found Sarah doing. Speedwing suddenly attacks, causing everyone except the Rangers to scatter, and when the monster comments how Sarah uses Speed Star, the Pink Ranger's forced to confess. The Rangers morph, engaging the monster again, and despite not having a Speed Star this time, Speedwing's able to knock the team back. With the Rangers down, Speedwing retrieves his star, hoping to finish the team off, but before he can use it, Sarah shoots the star, causing it to break and get stuck in Brody's helmet. The now unstable power of the star forces the Red Ranger to run uncontrollably, with Preston going after Brody and his Zord, while the other Rangers deal with Speedwing. After the monster's blasted by the four Rangers, he makes a run for it, with Sarah commenting that Brody wouldn't be in this mess if she hadn't used the Speed Star, even though Power Rangers are attacked by monsters on a regular basis, so I think this would have happened regardless. The other Rangers don't agree, however, saying that using shortcuts is wrong, and when Sarah agrees, she checks on Preston and Brody. Realizing that the Red Ranger can still control where he's going, Sarah tells Brody to head back to their location, and when the team finds Speedwing, they hold the monster off long enough for Brody to run into Speedwing, lodging the Speed Star in his back.
Something's on my back! It's my Speed Star! Hey! You did that on purpose!
He's the one who can't stop running. That Speed Star sure is unstable.
Yeah, if it had broken while I was on my board, I'd be in big trouble. Thank goodness we're okay.
Yeah, otherwise you would have had to deal with the consequences of your actions, right, Sarah? Despite being unable to catch up with Brody earlier, all 6 Rangers are suddenly able to outrun Speedwing, forcing the monster to run into their sword strikes, leading to his defeat. Cosmo causes the monster to grow, so the Rangers call on the Fusion and Lionfire Megazords, and after Brody shoots the bird down, the Rangers use both Megazords to make quick work of Speedwing. After the fight, Odious collects Speedwing's medallion before heading back to the ship, where she shows Badon Sano, which he's been able to collect so far. The henchwoman says that if Odious collects all 4 medallions, she'll have enough power to unleash her secret plan, but since the madam's now the leader of the villains, I have no idea why she's keeping this plan secret, let alone from who. Back at the track, everyone's waiting for Victor to show up and break Sarah's record, but before the jock arrives, the Pink Ranger has an announcement. Sarah tells the crowd that she's not happy with how she won the trophy, even though she didn't technically do anything wrong. In a speech so vague, I imagine people in the crowd being confused as to why Sarah's giving up her prize. None of that matters to Victor, however, who suddenly appears from the bushes, but as he's about to reclaim his prize, Monty shows up saying Victor's ready to race. Realizing that Victor used a dummy to break the record in the first place, the host sends the dummy after Victor and Monty before asking Sarah if she would like to try breaking the record again. The Pink Ranger declines though, saying that for now she just wants to hang out with her friends, and the episode ends with the Rangers walking off while the host looks just as confused as I do right now. This episode just sucks. Back in January, before the season even started, I had decided to stop comparing episodes I'm currently reviewing with their numerical equivalent in previous seasons, mostly because I felt that the reviews were starting to sound way too similar, and I wanted to make sure I was giving you guys some variety in my critiques. And while I have been comparing this season to Ninja Steel, I've tried to avoid direct comparisons between episodes and only focus on comparing all of Ninja Steel with how this season develops its story. However, with this review, it's impossible for me not to compare this episode with the 7th episode of Ninja Steel because both episodes have the exact same problem. This is another Pink Ranger focus episode that tries to teach a moral, only for said moral to conflict with what is shown on screen. This episode wants to be about how it's wrong to take shortcuts and that cheaters never win, but because Sarah's shown to succeed in her goal by using the powers of evil, it completely undercuts the message. I mean, sure, Sarah feels guilty for what happens to Brody, blaming herself for the Red Ranger's predicament, but again, the Rangers are constantly attacked by monsters, so it doesn't make any sense for the Pink Ranger to blame herself, since this most likely would have happened anyway. Sarah even admits to not doing anything technically wrong in the scene where she gives back the trophy, which only serves to confuse the crowd, who I'm assuming thinks Sarah was abusing drugs or something. Seriously, if you watch this scene without the knowledge that Sarah's a Power Ranger, it sounds like she took steroids in order to win. And when Sarah's actually given the opportunity to break the record again, something that she was ready to do at the beginning of the episode, she doesn't take it in favor of being with her friends, as if the message this whole time was how important friendship is. But you know what's worse than making the same mistake twice in the span of a year? Making that mistake when you already proved that you know how to tell this story properly. I'm not kidding when I say that this episode has the same theme as the 2nd episode of Power Rangers Dino Supercharge, but that episode actually made the moral stick by not having Riley succeed, despite the fact that both scripts for this episode and that one are credited to the same 3 people. Overall, this is the worst episode of the season so far. I know that comes as no surprise to some people, since I also didn't like the 7th episode of Ninja Steel, but this episode is even worse than that. Not only does the show make the same mistakes, but they also botched a theme that they portrayed correctly in the past, which honestly makes me worried about the current state of this show. But I've got one more episode before the hiatus, and it's gotta be better than this, so I say bring it on. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you. Please subscribe for reviews of Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel. Also check out Dino Charge Reviews 2, episode reviews. Also there's Ninja Go, and I've got a Patreon. Go! Please subscribe.